Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast. I am sorry I got actually, for those of you who are listening to this, you're the wrong ones for me to apologize to. But for some reason, this week's LinkedIn Lives are just a little off on the technical side. And I know it's my mistake from Sunday. That's what I get for operating heavy equipment. But the link, if anybody is out there who knows folks who are trying to get in through the my personal profile, that's just turned off again for some reason, and so it's just a problem this week. But if you can just put it in the comments for somebody else, if you know folks are tracking, and then Gus, if you can just let me know that you're tracking on this so that I know that I'm live and I can go live. I'm pretty sure I am because it tends to always work. I'm just not broadcasting to my own profile, which is horrible because I know there's 50 or 100 people who come in through there. But let me get started with the tip of the day. And this one I might actually just keep and record it out there. But we're going to get started in just a split second with today's topic around 10xing women-owned small business visibility to the federal buyers. These tips can be used by anybody, but in particular, I'm really driving home the suggestions to women-owned small businesses as we celebrate the Women's History Month. So my tip for you today is to remove or reduce friction. And what we talk about on friction is this idea of if you have buyers here and you're the seller, you're here, we want to remove any friction between the two of you. And the tips I'm going to give you today about visibility is reducing the friction between the buyer finding you, right? We want to grease the skids in a sense so that there's no friction between them trying to find you. But you can think about reducing the friction across the board. Thanks, Tammy. You can reduce friction across the board. I was thinking about this just on your day-to-day life, right? If you come into work and you want to reduce friction between the start of your day and you getting done the most important thing you want to get done, well, one way you can reduce friction between accomplishing that task for the day is to turn your phone off. Don't look at your email. Just close Outlook. Do not look at those two distractors. Of course, they're going to ring. Of course, people will send you emails, but that's not your most important thing, right? But if you turn them off, you're reducing friction between the start of your day and getting done the most important thing. And so that's my tip for you today is just keep in mind that as you look at your day-to-day life in particular, or in particular, your relationship with the buyer, you want to do whatever you can to reduce friction between you and the buyer. And I'm going to give you some ways today that address that. Okay, let me turn off this caption. We're going to dive in. And Gus, by the way, if you could throw comments onto my profile area, that'd be great. I think I tried to put it into two areas, but I'm not sure I hit everywhere. Okay, let me get started here. Yes, Chris, turn your phone off. Reduce your friction between what I'm going to teach you and what you learned. Okay, so let's get started. Let me pull my slides up. Today, I want to talk to you about 10xing your women-owned small business visibility to federal buyers. If federal buyers can't find you, they're not going to buy from you. If large and small contractors, government contractors can't find you, then they're not going to put you on their team. Sometimes we look at the biggest and most complex solutions to our problems when really we should be looking at the simplest solutions to our problems. And that's what I'm going to talk about today is no complex answer or secret or solution to problems we might face on visibility to our buyer. Today, I'm going to give you really direct solutions. If you want to win more contracts in the federal government space, you must write winning proposals. If you want to write more winning proposals, you must find slam dunk opportunities to fill your pipeline. And if you want to find more opportunities, you need to have the relationships with buyers and teammates that'll let you know about these opportunities, right? You're not going to build those relationships, though, if buyers and teammates don't know who you are, if they can't find you when they go looking for a company like yours. And I'm going to show you this today. So in this training, I'm going to teach you how to 10x your visibility. I'm going to give you, in fact, I'm going to give you multiple ways to 10x your visibility. So if you do everything I suggest, you could, 40 or 50x your visibility with federal buyers and teammates. All of the suggestions I'm going to give you in this training today can be done in less than a day and cost zero, right? Done in less than a day and cost zero, but potentially lead to millions of dollars eventually in revenue. So if you want to 10x your visibility with federal buyers, with teammates out there, put 10x into the chat. Let me know you're along for the ride. 10x in the chat. If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonnell. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I teach tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years as a small business owner in the federal market. And since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's a process. Process goes from A to Z. When you follow a process, you get repeatable, predictable results. And that's what I want for you. If you're not connected with me, by the way, on LinkedIn or subscribe to me on the YouTube channel, go ahead and do that now so you can hear about other great information we share related to the federal market and government contracting. Before we get started, do me a favor, help buyers remember who you are. Put your company name, your core competency into the chat. When you put your core competency, use 2 or 3 keywords. It could be a couple of words like elevator maintenance is one keyword, right? Put 2 or 3 keywords into the chat as well to let us know, oh, this is the company, this is what they do. And it makes it easy for buyers, for me and for others to remember who you are so that when I have a chance to make introductions, it's easy for me to recall. It's like, oh, somebody was in there. I know they were doing this. Let me go find their information. Finally, I wanted to say thank you to our sustaining members. We don't take money from the federal government. We are not a government organization. We're self-funded. No large prime contractors sponsor us. We make this training available through the generosity of sustaining members like you. And we just wanted to say thank you for constantly being part of that. Okay, so we're going to dive into a lot. I got a lot of actionable information I want to share with you. And I think I'm going to do it in a particular way of sharing. I never share slides. If you haven't been here before, I rarely share slides. But I'm actually going to share a slide just because it'll make it easy for me to go back and forth between what I want to show. So let me just share my screen really quick. Got to make sure I close my Outlook, my Teams, because I'm sharing my whole profile. I don't want somebody to come up with something that's just embarrassing. All right, so I'm going to share. First thing I want to do is talk to you about the 4 different ways. So the first one I want to talk about is updating your DSBS profile. So DSBS, if you don't know what that is the Dynamic Small Business Search Tool in the federal government. This is the #1 market research tool that the federal government uses. I'm going to come back and explain it in a second, but I want to show you how powerful it is to be visible in here where hundreds of thousands of buyers learn that this is the market research tool that they should use in the federal space. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. In this particular one, I searched for just show me companies that have digital forensics as a keyword. And this is a cybersecurity term. But if you look at it, of the 300,000 plus firms that are in here, only 41 came up with that criteria. Very small group. That 41 is more than enough for a market researcher to look through and find 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or even 20 and invite them to come in and talk with the program office or maybe even bid, right? So you want to make sure you're visible for your keywords. The next one that I did is I searched on, and this is a little tighter search. I said, look, I'm looking for a HubZone company that's certified, that does Microsoft SharePoint. And so here you can see only 38 companies out of 300,000 plus came back. Imagine if you're able to reduce the competition basically by 99%. That's effectively what's happening here because the market researcher can look in and go, well, I can find more than enough companies to do my initial market research. This top company, Bain Group, is a customer of ours, right? And you'll see this trend. These guys are a customer of ours and they pop up. And through this exercise, I noticed they didn't pop up on one search I want them to pop up on. And so I'm going to make a modification to it. But imagine if you were on that top of the list, right? Let me go down even further. This one is a cybersecurity type phrase or keyword, but zero trust architecture. It's a buzzword that's going on in the federal government right now. And in here, we went and searched and only 7 companies came up with zero trust architecture. And you can see, how they're highlighted there. 7 companies. This first company is a customer of ours. This is just coincidental. I just picked terms and it turns out, and in fact, Gus had to point out that, our customers are popping up on this, which is fantastic, but that wasn't my point, right? These are people in our business development accelerator workshop, but you can do this just from what I'm saying. Know what your keywords are and get them in to the capability narratives, special equipment, or keyword fields. And I'll show you in a minute how to do that. But 7 companies with zero trust architecture in them. And I know there's tons. I have 3 customers in our workshop right now that have zero trust in their narrative, and it's going to be coming up. They're actually just going this week, just updating that data, and you'll see all 3 of them pop up on the radar here. So that's really important. This next one, and I'm just trying to show you how important this is to think of this tool and think of how it can 10x your visibility, if not 100x your visibility. So sometimes you got to pay attention. The terms you use aren't quite the same way somebody might search. And so I searched zero trust architecture with no space, with spaces. Here I'm saying, well, find me zero trust with a dash. Maybe people use that hyphen in there. And so here are 5 companies, but only one of them actually comes up as an actual cybersecurity. These other guys are something else. No, actually, I'm sorry. Actually, 4 of these guys come up the right way. But so what I learned by doing this exercise with you is I'm going back to my customers who do anything related to zero trust, and we've got it in. I'm like, hey, let's sneak in zero dash trust as well as zero trust, because this tool is not smart enough to distinguish the difference. And then the last one is that I'll show you on updating DSBS is using the acronym. The acronym is probably how a lot of people will come search for zero trust architecture in the federal space. If they're looking for companies, 5 companies came up. I guarantee you, when you come back next week, you'll see 3 more of them, and all 3 of them will be our customers, because this is the tools of the job. This is the tools of working as a government contractor. But the thing to keep in mind is 4 of these companies don't do zero trust architecture. It's biz talk, right? And so ZTA happened to be in that word, but only this company at the bottom with Howard, right? Only that company is a zero trust architecture firm. Imagine if you can have that visibility when a buyer looks, right? And actually 5 is too little. You really want it to be 10 or 15, 20, so that they don't go search a different term. They just pull you out. So let me just remind you in here, and let me see. Actually, the tool's been down, so let me see. Oh, perfect. So you want to come in and update these 3 fields that are down here. The first one is capability narrative. That is where your most important keywords go. The second one is special equipment. Your second most important keywords that aren't used in this upper paragraph. And then the third one that you want to use is down here, keywords, right? So your keyword field is actually your least important field. That's where you want to put stuff that isn't used up above. For example, I would go back to Bay & Group, who I just pulled up, and I see that they have SharePoint here, and they have SharePoint obviously here. I would tell them, change the keyword down below and add another one that might allow you to be found, like Java or whatever. But anyways, it's really straightforward. Go into DSBS, find your profile, look at it, update it, and now you'll increase your visibility. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is putting women-owned small business and keywords into LinkedIn. But I want you to pay attention to this red box if you can see it. If not, I'll read it. In DSBS, there's 85,000 self-certified women-owned small businesses. 9,000 of those firms are SBA certified. So they're truly women-owned small businesses as it relates to set-asides. So if you're not certified, go get certified. But the part I wanted to point out is I'm going to show you these 1,200 people in LinkedIn. And so if I keep cruising along my tabs, in LinkedIn, this is where people go to look for somebody like you, companies like you. In particular, this is where teammates go to find each other. I was just talking to somebody Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday, one of the top 10 largest government contractors, so multi-billions of dollars in revenue from the federal government. And she was telling me that she actually doesn't even look internally to some of the tools. Sometimes she goes straight to LinkedIn, and she goes and looks for teaming partners, small businesses. Now, she's a senior business developer within this large company, and so she comes out to LinkedIn. Well, imagine if she comes out looking for women-owned small business. 1,200 is a lot, but 1,200 is not enough if you're not the one being visible, right? Remember, there's 9,000 certified women-owned small businesses. Is your firm registered that way? And I'll come back and show you in 1 second. Let's take it one step further, right? Imagine if they went and looked for that example, zero trust architecture. You can see it in my search term. And I say, look, I'm looking for zero trust architecture and somebody who's a WOSB, a woman-owned small business. 12 people come back with that information in their profile. This is why it's really important that you go into LinkedIn and you put, first off, WOSB, or if you're a HubZone or an 8A or an SDVO, put that into your profile, right? This is this advice I'm giving you, the reason people consider it a secret is because people don't share it. I'm sharing this with the customers who pay me a lot of money to help them, but I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm telling you, go out and do this, and you will massively increase your visibility. Putting one of those terms in. And you want to have a line that describes what you do. And I'll show it. Actually, let me just show Hunter's really quick. So this is somebody in our community, and Hunter's actually her group, her company is one of our customers. But more importantly, she's in our community watching these lives all the time. But this, see how she's got delivering SharePoint solutions, SharePoint, M365. These are her biggest keywords, and they sit right in her headline. I'll come back to that in a second, but you want to be able to put those terms in so that you start rising up. Her company's a HubZone company, so they want to come up. By the way, if you need SharePoint support in the federal space, consider reaching out to Bain Group. Okay, so there's 12 here, right? I want you to go in and put this information into the profile. And so let me just use Hunter's as an example to come back. So one place you would put the keywords are here, and she might drop it at the end. She just might put in, frankly, HubZone. That's all you need to put is HubZone after adoption, right? Just leave it as a word, and that's fine. The next place you would put it is in this About section where it's about Bain Group, and you can see how their her profile on LinkedIn is designed to be read. It's basically the capability statement written in a LinkedIn profile way. This is what we teach our customers. But right here, it says HubZone, right? So if somebody's looking for SharePoint and HubZone, they'll find her through that. And LinkedIn is indexed. That's the whole point of search, right? And then the last place she's got it is, I think she's probably got it down here. The same kind of thing. We tell people, put it in your About section and put it in your Experience section. So she's got it replicated down there because sometimes people look at one or the other. I'm going to come back up to the top there for 1 second. I want to come back here. So the WOSB and keywords, your top keywords, make sure you get them into your headline. That's the thing right below your name. I said talks about, I don't think Hunter has it, and I don't want to look for somebody else. But if she had filled out that talks about, her hashtags would show up. Hashtags are sometimes what people follow to engage in content. So somebody might decide to, follow a hashtag SharePoint. So you don't need to put WOSB or Woman Owned Small Business in the hashtag, but you would want to put Zero Trust Architecture, SharePoint, M365 as one of those hashtags, perhaps, that people will follow. But again, remember this, there's 9,000 certified women-owned small businesses, but only 1,200 in LinkedIn. And if you actually looked inside LinkedIn and searched on your tag, let's say woman-owned small business, and your number one keyword, see how many come back up. You want to reduce the friction of teammates and federal buyers being able to find you by doing that. Okay, number 3 is to 10x your visibility is to put your capability statement into LinkedIn. And let me just going with Hunter the whole time here for today. So in here, Hunter has put the capability statement in twice. So the first place she put it was here in this featured section. And Bain Group actually does a unique thing of doing case studies around their, so they call them capability statements, but this is a knowledge management capability statement. But either way, they've got their capability statements right here in the featured section. If somebody wants to learn about Hunter and her company, they can learn this information right here. And if we scroll down in her experience section, and I expanded it a little bit, but right here in the experience section, you can see that she put her capability statement as well. Somebody can click on it, instantly see it. If they expand it, they can download it over here on the right. I don't know if you're able to see that when I expanded it that way. But they can download it. And by the way, if you haven't seen capability statements like this is what I recommend. I used to say 6 seconds. Now it needs to be a 4-second capability statement that in 4 seconds, it instantly says HubZone GSA. They're a Microsoft SharePoint focused company with this amount of experience. That fast, I was able to see what she does and whether they have experience. And they've been playing with the bigs. And so they've done a lot of good work. All of that I was able to see when I visited her LinkedIn profile and noticed her capability statement is there. That's reducing the friction from your buyers and your teammates being able to find you and then learn about you. So finding you is through these keywords that she's putting in or something. And then learning about you is by having some of your material right here, not having to go to the website. They can still go to the website and learn more about Bain, but Hunter has enabled them by putting the capability statement in her profile. She has enabled them to quickly learn even more, including her cage code, her UEI, which allows people to go into other tools. Okay, so the last one I want to talk about is registering in, number 4, registering in every supplier portal that's out there. And it's funny. I like how I put these down. These are my bullets, not bullets for you. So I want to explain the supplier portal, and then I want to show it to you. So right here is the supplier portal. And before we begin, I just want to say basically a supplier portal is DSBS. So for the federal government, you registered in SAM. SAM is the supplier portal for the federal government. That's where they go to look for vendors who are interested in selling to them. DSBS is an expansion, a set of information that just tells them about your company. But SAM is the supplier portal. You're in that number 1 portal, but many agencies and most large primes have their own supplier portal. And so you want to be where buyers are looking. Buyers will first look at their own portal, then they will look at SAM and DSBS at the next level of it. So here is a directory that we put out. You can get it on govconchamber.com. Gus will probably put a link to it so you can download it. But in here, we constantly are keeping this updated. So if you see anything we're missing, let us know. But if you come down, you start seeing first federal agency portals, and I'll show you some of that in a second. You see these supplier portals for the federal agencies. And then as you come further down, you see large primes. By the way, one of the reasons I have, let's say Department of Commerce in here, but it doesn't have a supplier registration, is because these are the top largest agencies. And we have a feeling that some of them have these homegrown supplier portals, and we just haven't found them yet. And so we leave them there to remind ourselves to keep digging for your benefit, because if USDA or some of its subordinate agencies have supplier portals, we want to make sure we get them to you. So in here in the supplier portal, you've got small business portal page that takes you to learning and doing business with Department of Education, for example. And then you got supplier registration. That's where we try to have a link that goes directly to where you sign up. And I'll show you that in a second. But if I come down here, you can see these large primes. And we try to put in as many as we can wherever we could find them. Some are easier than others as we try to work forward. Like here, Guidehouse, they're a great company, but I haven't been able to find any of their stuff, right? So I'm hoping to be able to connect with their SBLO. If anybody knows somebody at Guidehouse, tell them to reach out to us. Love to have them in here. But our goal is to make this easy for you to be able to start adding yourself to these companies that are fit for you. So keep in mind, some of these companies are construction. Most of them are professional services, consulting services. It makes sense if you're an IT company to register with a construction company because they have IT needs. But if you're a construction company, it probably doesn't make sense to register with Leidos, who's a professional services, IT type company, et cetera. So you just have to figure out which ones are the best for you. But you start doing one a day and you'll be done registering. So let me show you a couple of these. This first one is NavAir, right? If you click in our portal, if you click on the link, you'll come down and you'll see it's really basic. The information it's asking for you, your name, your company name, your website, your address. So socioeconomic status is here, and then your NAICS codes and a narrative. And right here where it has a description, right? You can pull that whole description out of DSBS. You can take your capability statement and basically repurpose it like Hunter did on her profile, right? Like she did on her profile. She basically took her capability statement and just put it in more of a linear way here. You could do the same thing in the description, but it takes you, 5 minutes, 15 minutes to get this done, and you submit it and you're in the portal. And now that you're in the portal, you reach back out and you find out, well, what's the next step? But most importantly, when NavAir, which is just one buying command of the Navy, which is one department in the Department of Defense, which is one department in the entire federal government, right? That was a long way to say that. But when you register in there, you're registered where those buyers are going to look first. Next one I'm going to show you is this is DHA or health.mil, but the Defense Health Administration or agency. In here, it's really simple. This is like a less than 60 seconds where you come in and you put your information and you submit it. And then you move forward, right? You're in there. You're letting them know you want to do business. By the way, don't register with every agency if you're not actually interested in pursuing that agency, or if you can't play in the DoD space, don't register on the DoD side. Maybe go to HHS, et cetera. And then here's another example. I just pulled this up. There's no fields to show you, but this is Deloitte, right? A very large prime contractor in the federal space, billions of dollars. And here they're talking about the registration process should take approximately 15 minutes. I have found that it takes somewhere between 1 and 15 minutes to get a supplier portal filled out. Places like Lockheed or GDIT or General Dynamics, those organizations take longer because they ask you what business unit do you want to sell into. They really are looking to see if you know even where within their organizations you want to support and where you want to work. But some of them are like this, where it's pretty straightforward, and they just walk you through a process to get registered, and now you're on their your radar. I wanted to come back really quick to this set of bullets here. If you look over on the right-hand side, there's 9,000 women-owned small businesses, and today we're talking about that group of small businesses in the federal space. But in HHS, one of the biggest departments out there, they only have 2,500 women-owned small businesses registered in their portal. Only 30% of the available businesses are registered within their supplier portal. That means the other 70% are invisible to these buyers if all they do is look at their own portal. Education, Department of Education, they only have 10% of the women-owned small businesses registered in there. Are you in there or are you not in there? Even if you're a HubZone 8A or service disabled. And then down here, Naval Facilities Command, right? I was showing NAVAIR here, right? I didn't pull the numbers up, but NAVFAC, Naval Facilities Command, that's a sister command. They only have less than 10%, right? I put 10%, but it's less than 10% of the 9,000 women-owned small businesses. And this is something I really want you to think about, right? As you're looking at your company, and are you where the buyers are, right? Let me switch over and shut my screen down. Okay. So, it's really important for you to look at these portals and decide which ones are the right ones for you and fit in. So I just told you about the 4 of them. Update DSBS, put keywords, women-owned small business into LinkedIn, put your capability statement into LinkedIn, and register in every supplier portal. When you do this, you're going to 10x your visibility to federal buyers, right? So I just shared these 4 ways to increase your visibility with federal buyers and teammates by 10x or even 40x. What I want to know is what will prevent you from immediately scheduling on your calendar a 1-hour appointment with yourself or meeting with yourself tomorrow to knock this out, to knock these 4 things out, right? Think about that and ask yourself, if you're not going to schedule some time tomorrow to do this, why not? Why don't you want to be visible? You do want to be visible, and I know you do, and the buyer really wants to find you. Hey, by the way, if you're not in our newsletter, make sure you join 6,000 other people who are in the government contracting community and subscribe to my newsletter via LinkedIn. You just go to my profile. Otherwise, Gus, you might drop a link in the chat on how to subscribe to the newsletter. If you'd like to work with us and you have the funds, I'm accepting 3 companies for our upcoming business development or BD Accelerator workshop. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn if you'd like to work with me, or if you'd like to learn more about the BD Accelerator workshop. It's for companies a little farther down the line. Hey, remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.